I guess in terms of starting, that would go back to 2018 when we were first made aware of the grant availability and encouraged to apply for it. And so in the sort of spring of 2018, Lee, my partner, and I started discussing what we might do, how we might bid for the Moving Image Grant, and we started to assemble partners. And then, of course, now we have Aardman, who's not actually a member of the consortium, but much valued intrinsic member of the partnership. Aardman have sort of mucked in with this from day one with us, shared the vision, really loved the idea of what we wanted to build. The timeline to complete it is rapidly approaching, is the end of this year, at least for the first part of the R&D. We think, and we've thought for many years now, that we could take transmedia and use that as a fundamentally valid and new way of telling a story, and that we could bring that together in a mobile app, it's a mobile experience, and we could tell story that would be threaded through a variety of different media types, including augmented reality and mixed reality.
So before the COVID lockdown, we had created and established an amazing story with Aardman. All our technology was in place and we were talking to our audience, showing the product and actually learning from them. We were developing technology that was working outside with large scale interactions using augmented reality. And we were also developing interactions that sat on the phone that you could have in your hand and work at home.
So our project, again, hasn't changed. It's exactly, in many ways, what it was always meant to be. The only change is that the finale of the story will now be something that you can only experience remotely, as opposed to coming to Bristol. So the way we reacted to this was by bringing on further development talent with further support from Innovate. And we had them take that data that Phantasmo captured. We worked with the team at Phantasmo to reimagine that data as something that could be anchored either on your tabletop, I guess a diorama, or could actually be done to scale or closer to scale in your back garden or in a local park. And so essentially, we're bringing Bristol to you. It suddenly doesn't matter if you can come to Bristol. It doesn't even matter if you've ever heard of Bristol.
This new approach, it does impact creatively, and it does impact how we go about producing a wonderful adventure story. But it puts a dynamic on the team because we cannot be face to face. So using all this latest technology to help us talk and communicate on virtual whiteboards, using things like Miro or Google Hangouts to be creative when we would traditionally be together on whiteboards in offices.
We'll finish our R&D this year on the Big Fix-Up as an at-home experience. And then next year, we've been provided additional funding, which we're really grateful for, to spend 6 months continuing to iterate on the live experience, and we'll be putting that live experience in at least 3 cities next year. And we also have an ancillary experience that we're building around this as well that we call Rogue Lad. We've learned that AR is new and magical to people, and they need to be sort of handheld still. So we've spent a great deal of time figuring out how to onboard people into how you interact with these AR anchors. You know, when to tap, how to scale, how to make things bigger and smaller, and so forth. It's been an amazing thing for me, having worked as a partnership with Lee for so many years on our own, coming together as a bigger group, needing to delegate more, needing to bring on people that we could trust. But, you know, we've been really lucky. We've hired on tremendously talented people across the board, and I think it's the reason we've been able to be so resilient this year in responding to COVID.
So as we head to launch, you know, our nerves may be raised, but, you know, through our ability of putting in, you know, the types of interactive points amongst our teams, it should be quite smooth, but it is heading to a launch. So it's going to be fun and frantic, I'm sure.
It was more about how do we bring everyone together and become one team. And so because of that, socials were a natural thing, and we were doing them every month as a way to foster the idea that Fictioneers, you know, was where it was at.
We had a brilliant one where we had Merlin Crossingham, who's a creative director from Aardman, and he creates morph. So he gave us a session on model making and creating morph. So we all had plasticine sent to everyone's home, and we all made our morph models.
From an entertainment point of view, we've brought both magicians into our virtual homes to teach us how to become, you know, a magician, but in with ourselves, and then also being able to bring comedy in, and it's all basically based around the theme of what we're trying to do, which is entertain people.
We started the Dinosaurs and Robots demonstrator project in February of 2019, so about 18 months ago, and our original timeline was to complete it by the end of 2020. So right now we were supposed to be in the most intense moment of bringing to life some new experiences, but COVID's put paid to that for now. The challenge that we were given for our demonstrator was to reimagine what a visitor experience might be for audiences of the future. To do that, we pulled together a really amazing consortium, and we set out to do it with the Natural History Museum and the Science Museum, both in their buildings and then also taking smaller experiences into shopping centres where you might not ordinarily expect to see them. Prior to COVID hitting, we were bang on track with our project. In fact, on the day that the lockdown was announced, we had actually launched a new experience in the Metro Centre in Gateshead, where shoppers would come along and do a mixed reality dinosaurs or robots experience, and they were loving it until social distancing hit. Our project has had to pivot dramatically because of COVID-19. We were originally setting out to gather groups of people in fairly confined spaces within theatrical sets, wearing headsets that someone else had worn just a few minutes earlier. So pretty much the worst thing you could be doing during COVID. And now with our new project, we are focused on an in-home audience, so where they use their own mobile phones and augmented reality to bring dinosaurs and robots to life. But this time they're aimed at younger audiences, so generally 14 and younger, and they are educational but also entertaining. And we're doing those in close collaboration with both museums, and we'll be making them available through the Apple app stores and also the Android app stores. Entirely different in the space of a few months. It feels like a lifetime ago. So we are planning to very much return to a location-based experience at some point in 2021. It all really depends on COVID and how that unravels over the next few months. That'll influence where it is, what it is, and who can come, but we're very much committed to making the LBE still happen. Keeping everybody kind of together, keeping the team motivated, keeping that creativity going has been challenging at times, if I'm honest. So much happens from that interaction, those sort of unplanned moments of interaction, and they're harder to do on Zoom. But we have had sort of regular social pub quizzes, games. We had one game called Assassin, also known as Werewolf, and it turned out that our lead designer was happy to be a mass murderer, which was something we didn't know about him. But everybody's kept together, and they've shown an amazing spirit in some pretty tough times. So I'm really proud of them. COVID has had a really kind of interesting impact on our business. On the one hand, it was pretty scary. We had to rapidly abandon some well-laid plans that were just coming to fruition and do something entirely different. But the opportunity to do mobile AR apps was something that we had on our roadmap, we were hoping to do, and this has enabled us to get there a lot quicker. And we're now, getting in the door with companies like Apple, which is fantastic. And I think that what we will deliver will hopefully excite and interest a lot of people. So it's been, in many ways, a real gift for our business. We're rapidly approaching the first sort of large test of our new projects in time for the start of the school year. So we've got a real fast looming deadline. I think the team are pretty stressed right now, if I'm honest. They're very, very focused. We've learned a lot since COVID hit. One of the things I think we've learned is how resilient our group of people are. We had to throw everything up in the air, and they have landed in a really good place. It's not been straightforward, but they have kept on delivering work of a really high standard. And also by delivering mobile AR apps as opposed to headset location-based products, we've had to think very differently about different audiences and understand their different needs, their wants, their motivations, and that's been great for us to sort of expand our horizons and really to think about how we reach people in different ways. So that's been a great challenge that we've all enjoyed.
We started in January 2019 and went for the full 24 months. Our aim was to show how the audience of the future, the sports audience of the future, can have new immersive, interactive and personalized experiences. And we did this very specifically through the lens of esports, so competitive video games. Over 580 million in 2019 have watched esports. And really our main innovation was to combine immersive tech and data-driven technologies and AI to create really unique new ways for fans to experience esports and later down the lines also traditional sports. The consortium is led by ESL, the globally largest esports company. They themselves cater for over 300 million esports viewers every year. Prior to COVID, we were really well on track, laying the foundation for both a production workflow and set of tools and a set of what we refer to as audience touch points. So experiences in virtual reality across mobile apps and interactive elements of the linear broadcast. We have a really exciting AI-driven content production tool that essentially scans large volumes of historic tracking data in esports and then compares it live to performances of a live match. And so through that, we can identify in an automated fashion highlights and special plays. And those highlights are then presented in a series of apps, virtual reality experiences. It'd be wrong to say that COVID has not affected esports. Esports very quickly got back on its feet and started to produce content, which even more so than before COVID was in demand, and people were at home, locked down, and were eager to consume new content. So for us, we knew now that, essentially all types of different content were produced, not just by big content producer, but also by smaller streamers and smaller, more local production. One of our aims is to really push the limits of what smaller crews and even individuals can do to produce immersive content around their own matches and their own stories that they're telling. A lot of individual content producers have significant reach and have significant commercial relevance in the esports ecosystems. So the tools that we are creating will make essentially creating this immersive content a turnkey solution to give to people, allowing them to create the type of new interactive content. We've asked for a 6-month extension because that is both the time that was required to catch up our work with traditional sports, but also to give us a little bit of extra time to prioritize now some of the very acute R&D challenges around distributed production workflows and starting to co-create with individual streamers and content creators. And so the project is set now to conclude at the end of June 2021. On our side, what I've learned is that our collaboration and creative practices are extremely resilient and really step up to the challenge, and not just try to cope, but to excel in the situation. And the other thing that comes very natural to us as a consortium is, we play games together, and Playing esports, collaborative games is a team building exercise. It's fun. We've worked together extremely well. Productivity in the team was very high, and the opportunities and the resilience of the different teams creating content to me was remarkable.